I want to show something on the surface of this meat. It's already starting to moisturize again. The salt is drawing the moisture out of that steak. And so it's a good thing you got a really hot surface so that you can get a char.
Also, the fat content for Wagyu already just has such a low melting point that really
it starts to rend.
Starts to rend just with your body temperature, yeah.
Listen to that sound. Oh. Can you hear that? Oh my goodness. That is an amazing sound. That sound just reminds me of weekend. It reminds me of outdoors. It reminds me of delicious grilling, great memories. You know, that sizzle is an international language. Put it that way. Transcends all borders, all cultures, all traditions. Think about it. Even the cavemen, back when they discovered fire and how to put meat on fire, they learned sizzle. Some people, they're like abhor gas. They're like, oh, I can't use propane. I never use propane on meat because, I don't want my meat to taste like gas. I don't want my meat to taste like propane. What's your opinion about the use of propane for grilling?
I mean, I definitely see where people would say that, but the way, at least the propane gas grills that we use, they have, kind of grates that go over the direct flame. So it's not the gas flame that's directly touching the meat, but it's actually more heat that the flame is producing that's actually cooking it. Where you get those, cuts that often have, that propane flavor is when, there's grease fires, flare-ups and stuff like that. And rather than the heat cooking it, it's that super hot grease fire that's cooking the steak itself.
Yeah.
But I mean,
for me, the cutoff has always been, if it's a quick cook, if it's a burger, a hot dog, a steak, fajitas, something like that, something that's a quick cook, I'll do it on propane all day long. If it's a brisket, a rack of ribs, or something that's going to be a slow cook, never would I do propane. Never.
Right.
Yeah. You want to use either wood or charcoal or some sort of natural.
I've seen some videos of people cook a brisket in propane grills. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, I could see if it's indirect and you're using wood chips to produce a smoke. I mean, I could see that, but I don't know. I'm not afraid of the propane even the propane flame on meat, because we use propane. Chefs use propane on desserts directly. On desserts, we've seen propane used directly on. We could have a propane torch right here and torch that and sear the outside of that meat. There's nothing wrong with propane. It's super clean and it's healthy. It's been combusted. It's not like you're throwing hydrocarbons onto the meat. It's already been fully combusted. But but if it's going to be a long-term cook, a slow cook, it's got to, like this tomahawk. It's got to be live fire. I wouldn't do that on a propane grill.
You could finish it or start it.
Yeah, you could.
I guess if you do kind of like a reverse sear in the oven.
And then finish the sear.
And then finish the sear on a propane.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of oven taste or meat just cooked in the oven. I think it just gives it, a certain flavor profile.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not a big fan of that. So cooking it this way, it takes a little bit longer because, it's just the heat's coming from the bottom. Right. And the oven, it's cooking all around it. So this just takes a little bit longer, but I've liked the way it's turned out so far when we've cooked these.
It's always been fantastic. So one thing to point out is you're doing a double sear because you're searing it at the beginning, as of course we always should. You sear at the beginning, and then you go to you take it off the direct heat, or at least you reduce the heat substantially. And then after you get it close to temperature, then you return it for a final sear before you serve.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a double sear in the sense that the beginning and at the end. Traditionally, the reverse sear is you put it in the oven at 200 or 225. You bring it to a certain interior temperature, and you come out and you sear it, to finish it. But we're on the same page. You gotta sear it first, then bring it to the internal to temperature, and then you finish it. When we went to Australia and we went to Mayura Station, who is like they're the king of the best steaks in the world. That's how they do it, right?
Yeah.
They do a open fire sear, and they put it in the oven, as opposed, but that's because they got a restaurant, and they put it in their oven. They bring it to a certain internal temperature. Then they let the steaks rest until the guests are ready to serve, and then they do a final sear on open flame, and then they serve. And wow, let's just say they know what they're doing.
Yeah, they definitely do. I think his restaurant has won best steakhouse in all of Australia past 4 or 5 years.
And his meat, has probably won the top Wagyu steak competition more than about anybody else. When we were there a couple of years ago, he was number one.
He was number one.
Yeah, and we ate in his restaurant, his tasting room on his ranch at that same year. And the ribeyes the tomahawks that he served us, we were guests, so they didn't charge us, but we saw some guests coming in, and they ordered 10 of them on this long table. They had 10 of these tomahawks on this long table, and we were told those are $1,000 a piece. So that was a $10,000 meal just in the tomahawks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of checking the steak or the tomahawk, making sure it's not really sticking to the grill.
Yeah.
And that kind of lets me know when it's, ready to flip. Because if it's sticking to the grill and I try to tear it off or flip it, then it's just going to rip the whatever crust is on there and kind of just, ruins the meat a little bit. But I just like to check it every now and then.
Well, and that brings up a good point, because a lot of weekend grillers, will like to take an onion, a half-cut onion or the cap of an onion, and we like to scrub the grill down or rub the grill right before we put the meat down for the sear. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But we don't do it with the Wagyu because, again, we're not trying to change the flavor profile. We're not trying to enhance that which is already perfect. But if you had a less than perfect steak and, you want to rub an onion on your grill, to prep the surface, to season the surface of the grill, there's nothing wrong with that. I just wouldn't do it with the Wagyu. I know my son doesn't do it either. And if your grill is too hot, another thing you can do is you can put a little olive oil or canola oil or something on the grill itself before you put your food down, so it doesn't stick. You don't want it to stick. Chicken is a big problem because it often sticks to the grill. Certain vegetables will. So, but there's so much fat on the intermuscular fat on the Wagyu. It's ordinarily is not going to stick to a hot grill. I was going to say that's the side that needs that's the fat cap. Needs that searing. See, you're doing that right over the direct flame.
Well, that happened from
the drippings.
The drippings, yeah.
Yeah. You can just see it rendering. It's awesome. It's already turned a really nice color. You can see the fat rending. That intermuscular fat between the muscle fibers is already rended. And on the inside of that steak, it's continuing to rend and produce all that juiciness and tenderness and flavor. And I can, where you drill that hole in the top of the rib, you can see the marrow coming out of the hole. It's drawing the marrow. How
are you going to figure out who gets the bone at the end?
That's easy. That's easy. Lulu's gonna get the bone. Come here, Lulu. Come here, Lulu. This is Lulu. She's 9 years old. She's our ranch dog, and she gets the tomahawk bone
You sweet girl.
after I finish with it. So at your wedding, I got to brag about this. So at Ray Ray's wedding, which was the reception was here at the ranch. It was catered by Burnt Bean, by the pit master Ernest Cervantes, and Burnt Bean is a partnership between Ernest Cervantes and David Kirkland. I think that's his last name. But they are amazing. I mean, they've won every award you can think of. And so Ernest came out here and he catered the wedding. But one of the things that he did was we gave him some of our Wagyu Tomahawks to do. A carcass, an entire animal, has you can get 7 ribs on one side, 7 tomahawks on one side. They're all stacked together. And you can get 7 on the other side. So there's a total of 14, 7 on each side of these. And so we had a special order and we got the entire 7 rib bone tomahawk intact for each side. And we brought them here to the ranch. We gave them to Ernest and he did a live fire demonstration right here on the exact same spot where we're cooking this tomahawk right here. And he prepared it and carved it as appetizers for our wedding guests. And I guess he did a chimichurri sauce.
You did.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny because the people wouldn't even go into the reception area. They would not leave. They would not leave this spot right here. They kept getting back in line because they wanted some more of this tomahawk. And this is not the same animal, obviously, because that was one entire animal, the entire rib roast from both sides of the animal that we consumed that night, along with a bunch of Denvers. But that was a really special treat. Thank you, Ernest, for doing that for us. You really enhanced that evening for all of us.
Still gets talked about from a lot of friends.
Oh yeah.
We had some of the wedding guests because once he carved it, he just piled the bones, on the cutting board.
That was true. That's why I brought it up, because of the bones. So go ahead, tell them.
And we had guests in black tie suits and tuxedos grabbing the bone and just eating it and watching the juice fall all over their shirts and coats.
I hope somebody got some video of that because it was the most surreal, hilarious thing you've ever seen. These are grown men in tuxedos, black ties, and they've got these tomahawk bones and they're just gnawing down on them like cavemen. And it's not even, it was just at the beginning of the wedding, so it's not like it was at the end of the night when you could say they had too much to drink. I mean, we hadn't even started the party, and they're already just gnawing down on these tomahawk bones. I hope we have some video of that. I know who they are. I'm not going to disclose their names here on camera, but let's just say, well, I might have had a little FOMO because I didn't get one. Ray, you have now raised the grill substantially from where it was. And remind us why you raised the grill.
So I do that. So I got the sear that I want initially first. And like you said, the reason why I like to do it like that is instead of, doing it in an oven first and then the reverse sear, I guess, method is I want to trap all the juices in there first. So that way, while I'm slow cooking it off of an indirect heat, the juices are staying trapped in there. So it's just going to add more flavor to it. And the reason why I raised it is because since it's a thick cut of meat, like we said earlier, I needed to cook all the way through to the middle and not just be cooked on the outside and then raw on the middle.
So by raising this, it obviously changes the surface temperature of the grill.
Right.
When it was down here, it's probably 500 to 700 degrees. And up here, it's probably, 225, 250, somewhere around there.
All right, so the way I learned it, and I learned it at the Open Fire meetup, actually, back in October, was 1 to 2 seconds is, for the hot sear, thin cuts of meat. 4 to 5 seconds is, a little bit thicker cut. And then when you can do 10 to 12, those are your thick cuts like ribs, briskets, pork butt, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
hold it 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and about there you can start feeling it.
It's good enough to eat. Yeah. So I mean, even though this is not indirect, it's still direct. You got radiant heat now, but it's far enough away from the fire to where the cooking surface is probably 225, 250, 275, somewhere in there. We could get a thermometer and verify that, but there's no question that at 14 inches above the fire, you have lowered the cooking temperature substantially. In case you're wondering what's here in this glass, it is a Woodford Reserve. It's a bourbon from Lexington, Kentucky. But it's not just any Woodford Reserve that you could find at the liquor store. This is a special bottle, a very special bottle. As you might be able to see here, this is a Woodford Reserve that has a special label. And this label it was labeled especially, this barrel was labeled for Santos Patronos Ranch. It was for our ranch, and as you can't, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the back of the bottle has our logo and brand etched into it. So this bottle is marked for us in two different ways. One with the etching, which is visible through the bottle, and the other is a special label. There's only 180 bottles of these that were done for our ranch, and this is how that happened. We were in Lexington and visited Woodford, and we were super excited about the different bourbon places that we went to, the different distilleries. And, so there is a bourbon out there, it's called Old Forester, that they do a special edition for the King Ranch. And we've got one of those bottles here on our trophy wall, Old Forester bourbon with the King Ranch logo. And we thought, hey, how cool would that be if we can get a bottle like that and find a quality bourbon who's willing to do that with Santos Patronos and partner with us like they did with King Ranch. And so here's how that happens. Well, Woodford Reserve is a blended bourbon, and what that means is they want to make sure that the flavor of the bourbon is consistent, because they're selling a lot of bottles. And so the way they do that is they mix various barrels together to come up with a consistent blend, because every barrel is different. If you were to have a single barrel whiskey, it's going to taste different than the barrel that is next to it, and even more different than the barrel that is higher, the barrel that's further away, that's lower. Every barrel is going to be a little bit different. And so we wanted our own special barrel, and what they did is they brought out 3 samplings for 3 different barrels. And here was one barrel, this was a second barrel, and this was a third barrel. And there were some other ones that we actually tried as well. Each of these have a slightly different flavor profile. So they gave us an opportunity to try the Woodford Reserve out of 3 separate barrels that have different profiles. And we were to choose the one that we liked the best. And then that would become our barrel. That barrel would become marked. It would be sealed. And when it was ready, they would bottle the entire barrel, we get 188 bottles out of that barrel, 180 bottles. And it would be for our ranch. And it would have our label, and it would have our etching on the bottle. Well, unfortunately, I was not able to be part of that tasting, but it was my son and it was Jeff, our ranch manager. They did the tasting, and they couldn't decide between 2 of the 3. They just had 2 favorites. And so we did something a little unique. We took our top 2 and they created a blended barrel out of 2 barrels. So they're 2 single barrels that were blended together to make a single barrel that was our 2 favorite bourbons. And that's what we ended up with right here. And I see every person who's ever tried our Santos Patronos special label Woodford Reserve just swears it's the best one they ever had. And so we can't sell these. You know, we don't have the kind of liquor license it takes to sell these bottles. And of course, we wouldn't sell them anyway. There's only 100, we only started with 180 of them. They're very special to us. And so for our friends and family who come to visit us, that's when you get to have some. So please come see us and you get to try it. That's what I'm having right now because it's a special day. And we're doing a special podcast of legal beef. Cooking our most special Wagyu beef, well, you know, the prize tomahawk. And so you got to have the best bourbon to go along with the best beef.
I tore off a little piece while you weren't looking, and it's pretty good.
What's the internal temp?
It's about 105 right now.
Yeah,
Cooked very fast.
it has.
Since I got a piece, I'll give you a little one. That way it's fair.
You know, I don't know what steak tastes like in heaven, but I can't imagine it's much better than this. I hope they have steak in heaven. Can you imagine when we get to heaven and we don't need to eat anymore? We lose that pleasure. It's a pleasure of the flesh and we don't get to do it anymore.
What's the saying? Some people eat to live, and then some people live to eat.
Yeah. Oh, what are we doing?
Since like you said, with the hanging, it's already kind of falling apart.
So you're going to go ahead and wrap it?
Yeah, sir.
So, what is that? That's called
Butcher's twine.
butcher's twine. And what's this? Boom. You gonna hang it already?
Just want to make sure it's gonna go.
It works. So this again is one of the great advantages of this lump charcoal by the big green egg. Normally, if you were to put new lump charcoal onto your existing fire, you'd have to wait for that charcoal to burn down to a certain extent. But with this super clean big egg lump charcoal, it's ready immediately. You can already start cooking without having to wait for it to burn down to a certain extent. The only reason why we added more is so we'd have more fuel in order to finish the tomahawk. You know, you'd think that we were sponsors of Big Green Egg, but we should contact them and tell them, hey, we're promoting Big Green Egg. You ought to throw us a bone. At least a free bag of lump charcoal. Look at this. This is the hanging. Only in Texas do we hang meat. That is a thing of beauty.
It's about the same height too. We were letting it rest.
Yeah. So you've got a party coming up, Mr. Thomas, where you have been asked to cater the party, and you're going to be doing some tomahawks. How many are you doing?
5.
You're going to hang 5 of them at the same time?
Hang 5 of them at the same time, and then we're also doing 4 picanhas.
Oh, wow. And you're going to do them all on this pit?
No, we'll do some stuff here, and then we'll take propane.
For the picanha? To finish the picanha?
To finish them, yeah. But we'll start everything here.
Get that wood flavor?
Or
the live fire flavor?
Live fire flavor, and then it's really nice just to have, back up. But if we can fit everything, we'll do everything here.
It's already dripping. Look at that. All those drippings are going to waste. Should we put a little? But if you put a plate down there, then it blocks the heat. Wonder if we just put a little aluminum deal down there. We catch those flavorings. I'm gonna go find something.
What is it? The misconception is people think that's blood. That's dripping.
Yeah. That's flavor.
Not blood.
There we go. All the way down. All the way down. Because it's. Here we go. Y'all. There we go. Flipper.
Where
There
going
you
with
go.
that?
You want more? Ah, yes, sir. Here we go. Santos Patronos special bottle Woodford Reserve. See what we got. How long should a tomahawk that size rest? At least 5. At least 5.
No.
You think more?
Less.
You think less? Oh, the textbook says 5 to 10.
I don't like the textbook.
I don't like the textbook either. I don't either.
5 to 10,
Gets cold.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really just 2 minutes.
Now, we got to show them about this this knife. So this is a Cutco chef's knife, and as you can tell, it's got a Santos Patronos Thomas Ranch. It's got our brand and our logo on there. This is a very special knife for us because when Ray Ray was in high school, like so many college high school students who are trying to raise money to go to college, he sold knives for Cutco, and as everybody knows, those are high quality knives that are very expensive. And Ray was a very successful salesperson, and thanks part to his charm, and also thanks to my client base and my friend base. So the Cutco people were so impressed with him, they wanted him to come make a career at a Cutco, and that wasn't in the cards. But much later, we went back to Cutco, and Ray asked if they would put our logo on one of the Cutco knives, on this chef's knife, and of course they agreed, and so now we sell these out of our store. And Cutco, honestly, is we're not their sponsors or anything. We use Cutco because it's a fantastic knife, and whether it had our logo on it or not, these are some of our favorite knives. But we're very proud to be able to put our logo on this Cutco knife and to be able to cut this Santos Patronos Wagyu with this chef's knife. You get the honor, son. The moment we've all been waiting for. Oh, let's show this. Look at that. It's just perfectly cooked right there.
Well, the middle will tell.
Yeah. So the middle. Oh, Ray. It's perfection, dude. Look at that. Open them like this. Look at that. Push down on a little bit. Look at that. Oh my gosh. That is perfection. Slice it up. I want to taste it.
So we separated the
Spinal.
spinalis from it, because we always like to try that part first.
Okay, here we go. Should we do the Salt Bay thing like that and roll off my forearm?
I think you have enough in there to do it.
Okay, who's first?
We'll do a cheers.
Let's bless it. It's blessed. Cheers, brother. So proud you're my son. Mm. You got to finish with sea salt or with finishing salt. It just changes the flavor amazingly. This tomahawk is so flavorful, so juicy. Boom. Well, this has been a very, very special and delicious episode of Legal Beef. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. And if you want to learn more and you want to know more about our culinary experiences, both as well as the tasting, as well as the grilling classes and cooking classes that are done by here at the ranch by Chef Ray, check us out on santospatronosranch.com, ASNTOS. Patronos, PATRONOS.com, and look forward to seeing you next time. And we're getting ready to fight over that bone. No. Right, we said we were gonna fight over the bone. This is mine. Lulu, come here, Lulu. This will be for you. Come here, Lulu.